So this is one of those areas where it's important to understand that autocracies, autocratic nations, Russia, Iran, China, anything's possible based on who you know. So organized crime in an autocracy looks very different than organized crime in a democracy. Because organized crime in a democracy has to learn to operate under multiple layers of police enforcement. Municipal police, district police, state police, federal police, right? All these different layers they have to operate under. So they generally can't do big operations, and they generally don't get to move large amounts of money because it's very hard. In an autocracy, they don't have multiple layers of police force. They basically have one main police chief or one main police governing agent who's in charge of multiple precincts. So they just have to have that one person on the payroll, or they just have to be an old friend from school, or they just have to have, some way of basically bypassing that one level of police enforcement. And then once they've got that, they can do pretty much anything they want. They can move large quantities of goods. They can deal with large quantities of money. And they can do it all because it's essentially sanctioned by the state because of the corruption that exists, because of the way that the Communist Party the autocratic party is organized. Oligarchs, governors, commissioners, that kind of thing. So the fact that there is or may be Chinese scientists and Chinese individuals supporting the drug trade in South America doesn't necessarily mean that the Chinese Communist Party, the CCP, is enabling that to happen or encouraging or directing that happens, as much as it could just mean that an organized crime syndicate is able to manage that level of operation because they don't have to go through a democracy to get there.
Do you think it's an organized crime entity?
I would imagine that is more. I feel like it's higher probability that's a criminal effort than an organized state effort. If it was an organized state effort, I wouldn't see them doing it with Chinese people in South America. I would see a cutout nation in between, right? They would have Chinese scientists working with Cambodians, or Chinese scientists working with Mali, right, to pass the knowledge through a third location, so that by the time they actually get close to the United States, we're not looking at Chinese scientists, we're looking at scientists of some other nationality, right? It's a cutout, like a shell, to protect and give plausible deniability to the Chinese. If it was nationally sanctioned or sanctioned by the government, that's how they would go through hiding their hand. That's what I would do again. If you or I was going to run an underground criminal network, we would put layers in place to protect our involvement. That's just how mature operations work. Everything happening here does not sound like a mature operation. It sounds criminal.
Interesting.
So fresh, so